Qantas has officially returned to New York after a multi-year absence stemmed on thanks to the effects of the global pandemic and travel demand plummeting to zero, and Qantas also grounding the majority of their fleet. The relaunch of services will see a 3 times weekly flight heading to the Big Apple via Auckland, New Zealand, providing further competition to Air New Zealand's own non-stop Auckland to New York service. Qantas has once more also selected Sydney in New South Wales as the origin point for this triangular service. Qantas's route will be operated by a Boeing 787 with the vision, once the Airbus A350s are delivered in the coming years, to transition this to a non-stop Sydney to New York route thanks to the A350's capabilities, and thus free up another 787 for other international markets. This, at the moment, is very much a temporary fix. As mentioned, once Project Sunrise begins, a lot of these routes that have stops will be able to eventually become non-stop, part of Qantas's ambition for the final frontier of travel. New York City has and is an integral part of Qantas's route network, and as such, having it been missing since 2020, there was always a noticeable gap in the Flying Kangaroo's international portfolio, which now, being filled, is great news for travellers, the airline, and many more alike. The journey to Auckland takes roughly 3 hours and 5 minutes, depending on conditions, before there will be a multi-hour layover. Following this, the aircraft will jet back off for over 16 hours without stopping, all the way to New York. It therefore climbs its way into some of the world's longest flights, which Qantas occupies quite a few of these alongside Air New Zealand. Definitely helped thanks to the geographical positioning of Australia and New Zealand in the Oceania region, being so far away from so many key international destinations. If these airlines really want a presence, they'll need to get the utmost out of their aircraft in terms of range. And that's where the 787s have been hugely important for both Qantas and Air New Zealand. Alan Joyce, who is the outgoing CEO of Qantas, said the resumption of the service is essential for the tourism industry, for those wishing to travel to New York City. He does note that it's always been very important for Qantas with solid numbers to the city, and therefore a return after a lengthy period away is not just welcomed, but also necessary for the further recovery of the flag carrier of Australia. New 787 deliveries that have occurred recently actually have meant that this route has been made possible because of the equipment arriving. There are still calls for more 787 orders, with now Qantas getting the last from their initial commitment. There are options that exist in that contract. If Qantas wish to activate them, they could see more arrive, but whether they do that remains to be seen. The general public believes more aircraft are required to sustain demand and, of course, see new routes launched, such as the rumoured service to Paris, Seattle, and many more, like even Chicago, but time will tell on how the airline chooses to proceed with these, whether they work with other airlines or they do go ahead and grab more of those 787s, which they do have the options to do. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, take care and be safe, and I'll see you next time.